There's nothing better than a royal wedding, and there is a particular tradition in the British royal family that I really hope continues on into the future. And that is the firstborn blood princess of that particular generation wearing the Queen Mary's fringe tiara. We have had 3 generations so far wear this tiara for their wedding, and that is Princess Elizabeth at the time, later Queen Elizabeth, Princess Anne, and Princess Beatrice. And so, if we are continuing on with this incredible tradition, the next royal to wear this at her wedding would be Princess Charlotte, not the wife of Prince George. And that is because, again, this is a tiara that seems to be specifically reserved for a blood princess for her wedding. And it's one that I absolutely love. And I'm going to tell you why. But if you guys haven't been to Royal Fashion News, my name is Brittany, and I have a passion for royal fashion. So if you love all things related to royal fashion, including tiaras, we really tried to do Tiara Tuesday/Thursday. I think it's going to land on Thursday now. Specifically, I would love to have you back because we like to go over all things that glitter. And if you like things yourself that glitter, I do also have a relationship with Ana Lucia Diamond. So you might notice my impressive stud diamond earrings here that are 2 carats. They are lab created diamonds. I absolutely love and adore them. I also have my cross necklace here, which was officially hiding there for a second. I feel like a cross necklace, especially for a wedding, it's very fitting, don't you think? And so if you're interested in any of that, feel free to check out the link up above. And if you use code ROYAL20, you shall save 20%. Now, Queen Mary's fringe is an interesting tiara because fringe tiaras are very, very popular. If you did not know, there is one obviously in Sweden. There's one that the Kents have. There's one pretty much in every single royal family, which has sort of a pointy Kokoshnik style. I don't think there's a version in the Belgians. Maybe not as popular as I'm thinking it is, but it's one that I've seen in quite a few royal family. There's one that belongs to the Liechtenstein royal family. It has this sort of gorgeous design. And when it comes to the Brits, they technically have 2 within the main line of the family because this particular tiara is often confused with the Adelaide fringe tiara, which is much older. And this more modern version of the tiara was commissioned by Queen Mary in 1919. And now, if you remember, Queen Mary is not only was she Queen of Great Britain, she is the grandmother to Queen Elizabeth II, grandmother to King Charles, great grandmother to Prince William, but she was also a master of reusing jewels and really creating some incredible pieces within the British collection. In fact, we do have pretty much entirely Queen Mary to thank for the gorgeous collection that they have today because Queen Elizabeth II, she was wonderful in many ways, but jewelry design wasn't really her forte. It was really her grandmother's. And her grandmother really was able to make a great impact. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, wasn't really queen for too long. So she wasn't really able to add much of a stamp on the collection. But Queen Mary, oh yes, she did. And this design is reminiscent, like I said, of the Kokoshnik, which is based off a Russian style of headdress. And the fringe was made from diamonds given to the then Princess Mary by Queen Victoria for her wedding in 1893, and apparently was part of a necklace. If I didn't get that in The Queen's Diamonds, the book written by Hugh Roberts. And the diamonds were originally purchased from Collingwood and Co., though it was eventually made for Gerard by E. Wolfe and Company. So early in her reign, Queen Mary did wear the Queen Adelaide tiara, but was considered less finely granulated and is now set as a necklace, according to Hugh Roberts. The new tiara, also according to him, is smaller, neater, and more modern looking than the Queen Adelaide fringe, which was made in the early 1800s. The tiara was given to Queen Elizabeth when she became queen. So that's Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. And then very famously worn by Princess Elizabeth for her wedding in 1947 to Prince Philip. And this tiara also broke when it was being put on the head of Princess Elizabeth while she was getting dressed for her wedding at Buckingham Palace. The court jeweler at that time had to rush this tiara with a police escort to a workroom so he could fix it. And Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, did have to reassure her daughter that yes, it would be fixed in time because that has to be about the worst thing that could happen. And you can actually see that the tiara is a bit uneven in this picture. You can see it's a bit cockeyed and there's a bit more space between 2 of the spikes than the rest because you don't see this in newer pictures. Now, this is interesting because I actually didn't know it until I was doing research for this video, which is that this tiara was owned by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, until her death in 2002. II. So there was a pretty big period of time where we did not see this particular tiara, and it was inherited by her daughter, the queen, after her death. And she did wear this particular tiara for her Diamond Jubilee pictures, wearing not only the Queen Mary's fringe, but also the Queen Adelaide's tiara as a necklace. And so it is officially set as a necklace. They probably won't change it. Maybe it's not easy to change. Maybe the necklace itself is pretty fragile. So there could be a couple reasons why they don't change this up more, but I would love it if they did. However, here's where it becomes particularly notable, and that is that it was worn by Princess Elizabeth. It was loaned by her mother. And then for Princess Anne's wedding, the tiara was loaned again, this time by the Queen Mother, who is her grandmother. And then Queen Elizabeth, the grandmother to Princess Beatrice, loaned it to her for her wedding. And I've got to say, I love Beatrice in this tiara. I think actually Beatrice looks really, really good in this tiara. I was not always a fan of all the tiaras Catherine has worn. I think she actually looks really fantastic in the Queen Mary's Lover's Knot. But for Princess Beatrice, when I first saw this one, I was not only super surprised, I was like, oh, wow. And then it hit me. Generation 1, Queen Elizabeth. Generation 2, Princess Anne. Generation 3, Princess Beatrice. The next royal lady we should see this on is Princess Charlotte. And I know some people are not necessarily fond of this because they're like, oh, well, she should get to pick what she wants to wear. And I get that I really do. Some people say, well, she should wear the Spencer tiara. She's not wearing the Spencer tiara. People need to give up that dream unless the Spencer family decides to sell the Spencer tiara. Charlotte is not going to wear it. She has plenty to choose from within the British Royal Collection. So that kind of rumor needs to sort of die. But what's really interesting is that this tiara was loaned to these particular ladies, especially Princess Anne and Princess Beatrice, because they're not high enough up in the line of succession to really be loaned such a grand piece, because the British royal family is very different than a couple other royal families, in particular the Swedes and the Dutch, who share their collections very liberally. Even ones you would say are reserved for the queen have been worn by lesser members of the family. But the Brits, it's very much you are given the particular tiaras you are given and you don't wear anything else from the collection. So when Sophie debuted the Lotus Flower tiara, that was quite a big surprise. And I'm like, yes, the Brits are getting more liberal, perhaps, with some of the tiara usage. And the reason I like this so much is that it makes royal tiara watching a bit more interesting because you're never sure what they're going to show up. And I love that because the Swedes, you just never know. Victoria likes the botte and fringe, but she could wear the conant. She could wear the Napoleonic amethyst. She could wear the Napoleonic steel cut. There are a variety of pieces she could wear. And the queen can also wear the Napoleonic amethyst tiara. Princess Madeline has also worn the Napoleonic amethyst. So has Princess Sophia. So you have this situation where you can have pretty much anybody in the family wear many of the pieces. There's some reserved for the queen. The botte and fringe is basically there for Crown Princess Victoria. Seems to be something that's specifically for use by the Crown Princess. But when it comes to the Brits, again, they're very strict. So I love the idea of Princess Charlotte wearing it because this might be a fact where Charlotte never gets to wear as grand a tiara again. Yeah. And so I think the idea of her wearing one that was such a historic connection and one that's really gone through the female line of the family in many ways. Because what I love about royals is the tradition and the heritage, especially when it comes to the jewels, of being passed through the female members. And yes, the female members are sometimes married in, like Queen Mary. But when you think Princess Elizabeth, Princess Anne, Princess Beatrice. It was loaned by mother or grandmother to daughter or granddaughter. I love that. So I am so hoping that Charlotte carries on this tradition and it's one that she is able to wear there in the future. I am so hopeful for that. So we shall see if that's what she wears on her wedding day many years in the future. And I'm really hoping that is the case because tradition is a wonderful thing. That's why we love tiaras and we love this channel. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon on the next Tiara Tuesday. Bye.
We don't count the carats, we count the centuries.